Danny Flexon for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you, Danny. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Glad boxing's back after such a long time off, and you were obviously the first to bring it back. 2 shows so far, another one tomorrow night as we talk now, Friday night. What have you made of it so far, the first 2 shows?
Well, you know, to get the boxing back, obviously our priority was to do it as safely as possible. More importantly, get the fighters working again. And we started off with sort of, you know, I don't mean this being disrespectful, like a lower, you know, they weren't world title fights or anything like that. You know, we started off a level to make sure that it worked, because obviously we were the first in. You know, making sure the testing was right, that the environment was safe, and we wanted to be in a contained environment. And I mean, even today, as we speak, they're talking about now bringing back these air bridges or you know, quarantines from certain countries and even cities in the UK. So we had to be careful, and we felt, and the advice that we had, the medical advice was it was best to do it in a contained environment, which we did at BT Studios. And I think on screen they look fantastic, considering what, you know, there's no audience.
What did you make of the boxing quality? Certainly the first show delivered with a thrilling main event. Maybe the second one was more, you know, the sum of its parts were greater than the whole. The main event was a little bit one-sided, but the undercard was very strong. Look,
they are what they are. You know, the first one was a fantastic show, evenly matched, and I think that it was great. The second one, there were some good fights on there. Joe did his job. The first round, everybody was saying how well. Oh God, someone's ringing me.
How dare they?
Don't
they know you're talking to Seconds Out? I mean, what is this?
Climbed it. Are we back on?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, and Joe's fight, I mean, people were sort of criticising that he was getting caught in the first round. So what do? You know, he did what he had to do. He'd been out the ring for a year and done a job on a guy whose record was fairly good against, you know, against decent opposition. He had twice the amount of fights Joe had, and he'd done his job. So I was pleased with it overall. You know, what we've done, and we got a good fight tomorrow. I mean, it's a fantastic fight that we've got on. Very, you know, not a lot in that fight in the main event. So I'm pleased with what we're doing, and you know, obviously coming up, we've got some great fights coming up. We've got Cole Frampton, we've got Mick Conlon, we've got Daniel Dubois on. We've got what's the other one? We got Archie Sharp. We've got quite a few good fights coming up, and I think that from our perspective, you know, we've tested the water, we've done what we do, and we're stepping it up now. I hope this is not going to be the norm. We're going to announce our shows for September in the next week or so. We've got, you know, we'll have Anthony Yard's going to be back out again, and a couple of other fights that we're looking at doing. So I think it's going to be quite entertaining for the fans. And as I say, we're stepping it up. So I'm pleased with where we're at. You know, for me, this is not about me. This is about the fighters and about the event and about boxing. You know, it's not about me blowing my trumpet. We were the first out and all that crap. You know, it is what it is, and we've done it in a great environment. You know, and I'm really looking forward. You know, young Sonny's coming out as well. By the way, got Sonny Edwards out, so we got some. You know, we've got some really good fights, and you know, the young fighters have had some great exposure. You know, there's a couple, you know, I know people are talking about them, which is fantastic. So by the time, hopefully, we get back to the normality and people are allowed to go to the venues, these guys are going to be fairly well established.
We'll talk about tomorrow night's show in a minute, but one thing I did want to ask you about, I'm sure you've seen this, a particular American journalist seems to have taken a sudden interest in your TV viewing figures. What did you make of that? Because I've never seen anyone from the US be so interested before in this.
You wonder who feeds him. You know, we're all over 21. We know it happens. You know, some journalists have favourites. Some journalists have their, you know, don't research as they should do. I mean, you know, if you base yourself upon, you know, can you just hold this for 1 second, Dan?
Sure.
And I'll come straight. I just want to get these numbers.
Go for it.
Okay, well, them ratings. Well, let's just look at BT. I'll give you an example. Daniel Adelaide on BT Sports YouTube. You can see this because it's on there. The numbers on there. It's had over 3 million hits.
Wow.
His fight. Go and look at it. I'm not making it up. They're facts. You can do it. you know, if we're talking about Barb ratings, which I'm sure that's what you're doing, which you know, are quite unreliable, to say the least. And it's just stupid. No one's, you know, we're not concerned about that. And I don't get it. Why are you right about the fights?
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
do you feel sometimes
you're a television critic all of a sudden or something? I don't get it. But anyway, and I don't care. But go and look on YouTube, BT YouTube, and see how many hits David Adelaide had. Undisputable, 3 million. Who's matched that?
Yeah, you're right. Let's talk about tomorrow night. You've got Lyndon Arthur against Dex Bellman, which, as you pointed out earlier, is a great fight. Is it right that whoever wins that will get an Anthony Yard fight at some point before the end of the year?
Yes. I mean, they've got it all to go. I mean, it's a big fight. You know, obviously, we had the fight already made, but now they're both taking fights because they need fights in the interim. But that's what it's going to set up, and that'll be a big, great domestic fight for the autumn, and that's what we're working towards.
And you've got Kevin Ajarko on the undercard, very exciting middleweight prospect from Ireland, great amateur as well. What do you make of him? How far can he go?
Well, I like him. I think he's really looking good. My son actually, Francis, looks after him, and he's done a fantastic job with him. They're working well together, and he's got a good future in front of him. There's no doubt about that. And again, this time he's going to get some exposure. He's going to get some valuable exposure. And I think for him, if he comes through, he'll be stepping up into some really meaningful fights before the end of the year.
Has there been anything from the first couple of shows where you've watched them back and thought there's things you could improve on, lessons you've learned for the next ones coming up?
Yeah, I think. Look, the first problem you have is that you're only limited to have, or you were at the time, only limited to have 5 fights on the card, and you've got like a 3-hour broadcasting slot, and fights do go short sometimes. So you've got to fill that up, and we try to be informative. You know, BT done a fantastic job. You know, David Moss and Jim Bentley, the director, done a great job in giving the viewers a behind-the-scenes view of what's happening, what it takes to put the fight on, you know, with the medical aspects and the safety and precautions. So that we've sort of had to, we sort of managed to do. But at the end of the day, what we're looking to do now is to increase the amount of fights we have on a card so that we don't have such gaps in between. But I think it's been brilliant. We're obviously limited to what we can do when you have not got a crowd there. That is the major problem. We all understand that, not just for us, but for all sports. It's exactly the same for all of them. So the bottom line is you've got to make up for that in different ways. And I feel that with what BT have done, I think it's been brilliant. I think the studio and the background looks fantastic.